With Catherine now holding ultimate authority, the reigning queen will actually have to ask permission from her daughter-in-law if she ever wants to touch those precious stones. Just a few days ago, at the highly anticipated Royal Ascot event, in a moment of profound reverence and historical significance, Zara Tindall, the eldest granddaughter of the late Queen Elizabeth II, officially gifted and returned a legendary family heirloom directly to Catherine, the Princess of Wales. This stunning jewel in question is actually none other than the legendary Russian Sapphire necklace. It is a magnificent piece featuring rectangular sapphires of deep night blue hues surrounded by clusters of dazzling diamonds. A historical treasure gifted by the late Queen's father, King George VI, for her landmark wedding in November 1947. Zara's stunning gesture was certainly not a casual loan, nor was it a simple aesthetic choice for a sunny afternoon at the races. It was a deliberate, solemn act of presentation, a ceremonial passing of a dynastic torch that instantly sent massive shockwaves through the quiet corridors of Buckingham Palace and Clarence House. By presenting this specific and deeply sentimental artefact to Catherine, Zara effectively utilised the heavy weight of her maternal lineage to cast an undeniable, powerful vote of confidence in the future queen, signalling to the entire world that the younger generation of royals clearly views Catherine as the ultimate guardian of Queen Elizabeth II's core legacy. However, this truly magnificent display of familial unity and mutual admiration between the two closely bonded women did far more than just solidify Catherine's spiritual sovereignty. It also accidentally ripped open the velvet curtains of the court to expose a raging, highly volatile, behind-the-scenes drama involving Queen Camilla. For several weeks leading up to Royal Ascot, a fierce undercurrent of tension had been brewing quietly behind closed doors, driven by Queen Camilla's intense, long-standing fixation on this exact Russian sapphire piece, which she had desperately hoped to secure for her own high-stakes appearance at the upcoming state banquet hosting the visiting European monarchs. The psychological stakes of this deeply hidden confrontation could not possibly be higher. This instantly ignited a wave of fascination and intense curiosity among royal watchers worldwide who live for the subtle, passive-aggressive power plays of the British aristocracy. Alice insiders reveal that Queen Camilla, whose deep personal affinity for sapphire blue is well documented, had viewed the late Queen's beautiful wedding necklace as the ultimate crown jewel needed to truly cement her current status as the supreme female figure of the monarchy. That intense desire had evolved into what palace courtiers describe as an absolute obsession, with Camilla sending multiple formal inquiries through her private secretaries to ascertain the exact whereabouts of the heirloom, which had been very quietly held within the private estate of Princess Anne's family ever since the late Queen gifted it to her beloved daughter upon Zara's birth in 1981. Camilla's camp had fully assumed that, under the formal strictures of modern royal protocol, a direct request coming from the reigning Queen consort would very easily override any private familial arrangements. Fully expecting the sapphire necklace to be delivered straight to her dressing table at Clarence House well ahead of the summer gala season. But the reigning Queen's calculated manoeuvring collided head-on with the fierce, completely unyielding independence of the Princess Royal's daughter. Zara Tindall raised under Princess Anne's very strict doctrine of duty and discretion, and a profound respect for ancestral intent, chose to completely bypass all of the traditional channels of standard palace compliance. Rather than ever yielding to the subtle pressures coming from the king's wife, Zara chose the grand public stage of Royal Ascot to make her definitive move, ensuring that this act of loyalty to Catherine would be permanently etched deep into the public consciousness. This sudden development has now triggered an unprecedented wave of intense intrigue, capturing the raw essence of royal drama where a simple piece of jewellery becomes the battlefield for institutional legitimacy. The public, highly fueled by a collective sense of curiosity, is left passing through every single frame of footage from Ascot, desperate to decipher the subtle shifts in body language. the tight smiles and the heavy cold silences that now clearly define the relationship between the Queen and the Princess of Wales. What elevates this intense behind-the-scenes clash into a truly captivating saga is the staggering twist regarding the future of that Russian sapphire necklace. It is a shocking detail that has effectively flipped the traditional power dynamics of the palace completely on their head, in a move that shocked senior royal aides. Zara did not merely hand the necklace over to Catherine for a temporary afternoon display. She officially returned and dedicated the heirloom to Catherine's long-term stewardship, explicitly stipulating that any future use or loan, or even any public appearance of this piece will now be entirely at Catherine's sole discretion. This means that Queen Camilla, despite holding her supreme title and having her desperate desire to wear the sapphires for the upcoming state banquet, must now formally request permission directly from her daughter-in-law if she ever hopes to see those brilliant blue gems around her own neck. The sheer psychological weight of this arrangement has now created an exquisite and suffocating tension within the royal household as the reigning queen suddenly finds herself structurally subordinated to the future queen on a matter of deeply personal pride. For a public totally obsessed with the inner mechanics of the Windsor dynasty, this is the absolute ultimate display of palace intrigue. It is a tense situation where the official crown must bow low to the sheer power of public affection and deep bloodline solidarity. Zara's deliberate decision to hand this final veto authority directly over to Catherine has left Camilla completely empty-handed for her major upcoming event, turning the upcoming state banquet into a tense hotbed of intense speculation where absolutely everyone will watch closely to see exactly how the Queen Consort reacts to such a devastating and highly symbolic defeat. The massive shockwave of this handoff continues to echo loudly, keeping the global audience totally captivated by this real masterclass in silent palace warfare, waiting with bated breath to see exactly how the Princess of Wales is going to wield her newly secured authority over these priceless historic treasures of the crown. The incredibly deep-seated resentment that now echoes through the grand historic galleries of Windsor Castle cannot be truly understood without looking closely at the carefully guarded history and the massive emotional weight behind this highly coveted Russian sapphire necklace. This magnificent royal piece flashing with a hauntingly deep blue under the bright summer sun represents way more than just the massive wealth of a sovereign nation. It is a deeply intimate relic of true love, survival, and maternal blessing. The long history of its origin actually begins in the dark, rebuilding years of post-war Britain, when King George VI wanted to find a truly spectacular gift for his eldest daughter, the young Princess Elizabeth. On the eve of her historic wedding to Prince Philip in November 1947, he commissioned a stunning masterpiece crafted from the finest gold and silver, carefully selecting a series of rectangular sapphires of extraordinary clarity and an almost electric midnight blue hue, framing every single precious stone with a brilliant halo of the finest diamonds. Crucially, this specific necklace was designed to be pure and striking, completely free of any accompanying pearl strands, which really allowed the deep blue geometry of those stones to command your absolute attention. Over the passing decades, as Queen Elizabeth II transitioned from a young bride into the longest reigning monarch in British history, this particular necklace always remained one of her most cherished personal possessions, serving as a physical anchor to the memory of her beloved father. It was a historic piece she wore not just for mere display, but for rare moments of deep personal and national significance, imbuing the blue sapphires with an aura of untouchable majesty and absolute moral authority. The trajectory of this royal heirloom took a highly unusual and deeply significant turn in the spring of 1981, a quiet moment that established the exact legal and emotional foundation for the dramatic confrontation we witnessed at Royal Ascot today, when Princess Anne gave birth to her very first daughter, Zara Tindall, which marked the arrival of the late Queen's very first granddaughter. Her Majesty decided to make a massive sweeping gesture that departed completely from standard palace practices, fully recognizing the intense lifelong dedication to duty that Princess Anne always possessed. The Queen presented that Russian sapphire necklace to her daughter as a private direct gift to celebrate the continuation of the female bloodline. It was a profound token of maternal love, a highly symbolic passing of ancestral strength to a branch of the family that would grow up completely away from the direct line of succession, but would always remain fiercely loyal to the core values of the crown. For 18 years, Princess Anne kept this magnificent necklace safely secured within the private, heavily fortified vaults of Gatcombe Park shielding it entirely from the curious public eye and the endless gossip of the British tabloids. Then upon Zara's 18th birthday, the Princess Royal officially handed the precious heirloom down to her daughter, cementing a quiet, lifelong pact of generational preservation. Zara grew up knowing that this precious piece was an incredibly sacred trust, a tangible piece of her grandmother's heart that carried an unspoken obligation to protect the true dignity of the monarchy from the corrosive forces of modern scandal and superficial vanity. This unique chain of custody created a rather complex administrative reality deep within the royal household. It was one that Queen Camilla completely underestimated when she launched her aggressive campaign to secure that necklace for her own personal collection. According to long-standing palace traditions designed to maintain the absolute integrity of the crown jewels, massive historical jewellery suites are almost always held on loan, rather than being completely transferred to any individual ownership, ensuring they eventually return directly to the central sovereign collection. However, because Queen Elizabeth II had specifically designated the Russian sapphire necklace as a private gift to Princess Anne's direct lineage, it sat entirely outside the jurisdictional control of the reigning monarch King Charles III and his ambitious wife. This became clear when Queen Camilla began expressing an intense interest in the piece, dropping heavy hints during intimate family gatherings and eventually instructing her private secretaries to demand its return for this upcoming state banquet. She genuinely believed her grand new title would force everyone to submit. Camilla had slowly built up this fierce obsession with the sapphire set. To her, its links to the late Queen's wedding were the ultimate weapon, a way to justify her highly debated place in the royal spotlight. But Zara Tindall stepped in acting as the real protector of this family heirloom. She knew the diamonds stood for quiet duty, not some cheap publicity stunt, and just like that she laid the groundwork for a brutal, silent pushback. The shockwaves from Zara Tindall's sudden play at Royal Ascot did more than stun the family. It laid bare a deep, ugly feud raging behind palace doors. It was a massive, messy misunderstanding sparked by how similar these historic crowns look. For years now, casual royal watchers and honestly, Queen Camilla herself had constantly mixed up the origin of this legendary Russian sapphire necklace, blending it with another legendary gem that carries a dark, incredibly tense history within the House of Windsor. People got confused because of how the Belgian sapphire tiara's high-arched frame looked. Camilla wore this stunning piece to welcome Chinese President Xi Jinping at a major state dinner, and it looks almost identical to Russia's famous Vladimir tiara. That original Russian tiara is a true triumph of Romanov craft, made of heavy interlocking loops of pure diamonds, where huge heavy pearls hang free, catching the light and swaying with every single step she takes. But over its long history, caretakers actually altered that Russian masterpiece, allowing those famous pearls to be detached and swapped for a set of stunning green emeralds. This created a whole new standard of custom luxury, changing what people expected from royal jewels. Since that Belgian piece has a high-pointed shape that looks so much like old-school Russian imperial style, both the gossip sheets and the public constantly blurred the lines between these two separate vaults, wrongly believing that the late Queen's personal wedding gifts were somehow part of that legendary Russian collection. Camilla fell for this myth hook, line and sinker, desperate to project a powerful, flawless image at the state dinner, she became convinced that the Russian sapphire necklace was the final piece she needed to show everyone she belonged. Getting her hands on that necklace became a crucial high-stakes battle as she tried to pair the immense history of King George VI's wedding gift with her own personal favourite deep blue velvet gowns, essentially pulling off a style coup to match the grandest queens of the past. Camilla's personal assistants spent months digging through the late Queen's private jewellery vaults, wrongly assuming that because the piece was labelled Russian in old court archives, they could easily seize it back under the official control of the crown, totally ignoring the quiet emotional way it was passed down to Princess Anne's family. This huge blind spot by the Queen Consort set the scene for an unbelievable moment of public reality check that left the entire royal inner circle absolutely speechless. Meanwhile, Zara Tindall knew exactly what was inside her late grandmother's private estate. She watched Camilla's growing ambition with a cold, quiet detachment. Zara knew those flashing rectangular stones with their rich, pure midnight blue shape had absolutely no dangling pearl drops. No secret hooks for extra gems and absolutely zero ties to Camilla's royal collection. By picking the absolute high point of the summer racing season to hand the precious heirloom to the Princess of Wales, Zara did way more than just block Camilla from the jewels. She destroyed the fantasy that a new queen could just take Queen Elizabeth II's private history by royal decree, handing that stunning sapphire necklace over to Catherine, done with a respectful, elegant touch, right in front of every high-ranking courtier in the room, was a flawless lesson in quiet defiance, proving the late Queen's deepest personal treasures belong only to those who actually live by her values. The massive, undeniable shockwave this handoff sent through the palace ranks cannot be overstated, because a royal family member who holds no official title bypassed the Queen Consort to uplift the Princess of Wales, showing a massive historical sign of generational unity inside the highly strict traditional world of the House of Windsor. Moving a legendary royal treasure is never just a simple, kind gift. It serves as a clear, powerful vote of confidence in who actually holds the moral high ground. By deliberately choosing to place the late Queen's most precious wedding sapphires directly into the hands of Catherine, rather than letting them be taken by Camilla, Zara Tindall was sending a clear, quiet message about where the future of the British monarchy truly lies. This bold move signals to the public watching around the world, and to those powerful factions hidden deep behind palace walls, that the families younger, bloodline descendants of Queen Elizabeth II, see Catherine as the only true spiritual heir to the late sovereign's immense historical legacy. That transfer sent a sharp, freezing cold message to the world, even if official paperwork and royal documents give Camilla the supreme rank of Queen Consort right now. The deep emotional loyalty of the royal family and the genuine trust of the public belong completely to Catherine, our future Queen. This deliberate, quiet understanding between Zara and Catherine reveals a deep bond that has been growing in secret for more than 10 years, right under the heavy glare of the British press. Zara Tindall was raised under the incredibly tough, no-nonsense rules of her mother. Princess Anne, the woman who famously turned down royal titles for her kids, focusing instead on hard work and silent duty, staying strong and keeping completely silent before the harsh, prying eyes of the media. Raised in a world where being royal meant working hard and having real integrity, not just chasing cheap praise in the tabloid headlines. Zara grew to deeply respect the people who could actually survive the crushing weight of palace life without losing who they are or ever hurting the honour of the royal crown. That incredibly tough upbringing is exactly why Zara respects the Princess of Wales so deeply, a private bond that has now exploded into a historic public act of heirloom diplomacy. By using her own inheritance to make such a bold public statement, Zara wanted to give Catherine a beautiful real token of appreciation for her perfect service to the country. Catherine has spent more than 10 long years dealing with the incredibly dangerous, complicated politics of the royal family, enduring constant pressure worldwide. Nasty tabloid campaigns and messy family drama with a quiet, graceful strength that looks exactly like the composure of Queen Elizabeth II herself. Through all the massive chaotic storms that have hit the House of Windsor over these last few years, Catherine has never tripped up once, never run to the media to play the victim, and never let a single rumour hurt the dignity of the entire royal institution. Giving her the Russian sapphire necklace was Zara's brilliant, highly emotional way of thanking her for that perfect record acting as a quiet, incredibly powerful sign that Catherine's 10 years of quiet strength have been deeply noticed by the inner core of the family. It was the ultimate nod directly from the late Queen's favourite granddaughter, declaring that Catherine has done an amazing job and is completely worthy of the family's most sacred, highly sentimental treasures. What makes this quiet partnership so captivating to everyone watching is the real, glowing, radiant warmth that defines their relationship behind closed doors, far away from the stiff formal rules of palace life. Even though Zara does not have any formal royal titles and lives her own successful life as a professional independent athlete, she and Catherine share a very deep sisterly bond. In their private lives, bonded by raising kids under the heavy Windsor name. Since they are almost the exact same age, both mums have watched their children play together behind the high, heavily guarded walls of the royal estates, often finding a peaceful, normal escape with each other far from palace drama. People all over the world have always loved seeing their totally natural moments at big royal events where cameras often catch them whispering, sharing private jokes, laughing together in the stands or giving each other warm, loving hugs on the grass at Royal Ascot. This real love makes the sapphire necklace gift feel less like a cold political play and more like a beautiful display of family support, offering the public a brief look at an incredibly strong, unbreakable friendship that will surely act as the main emotional anchor for the monarchy's next chapter. The massive ripple effect created by Zara Tindall's bold move at Royal Ascot quickly travelled right into the heart of the royal household, bringing an instant wave of relief and quiet approval to the most senior, powerful people in the family. Palace insiders reveal that the quiet choice to hand this historic Russian sapphire necklace back to the direct line of the family through Catherine was warmly welcomed by King Charles III himself and by the Princess Royal. Word of the gesture reportedly left Prince William deeply, visibly moved. To him, it was a massive public nod to his wife's quiet, endless loyalty to the crown, especially now during a time of brutal family drama and relentless outside pressure. Deep inside the palace, the old-school courtiers quietly agreed. This historic handoff was not some modern act of defiance or rebellion, but was simply a much-needed fix that put a priceless piece of history back where it truly belongs. By letting this spectacular necklace be handed over openly to the Princess of Wales, the senior members of the family sent a very clear message that the most precious symbols of Queen Elizabeth II's reign must be saved strictly for the future Queen, making sure they are never used as cheap props for quick publicity or shallow vanity projects. To understand why Zara Tindall chose to handing over her claim to this priceless royal heirloom instead of keeping it for her own daughters, you have to look directly at the ancient unwritten rules that govern these family treasures. According to centuries of strict Windsor family tradition, grand historical jewellery sets of this massive scale are nearly always meant to be kept as long-term loans for the working core of the monarchy, never split up into private hands or passed down to relatives who do not hold royal titles. When Princess Anne was first given custody of the stunning sapphires in 1981, it was done purely to ensure the safe, quiet keeping of a deeply personal piece during a very chaotic time in royal history, meaning she was holding on to it for safe keeping, not taking it forever. Now Zara, who possesses that same sharp practical intelligence her mother Princess Anne is known for, realized that the true deep power of this historic Russian sapphire necklace lay in its public royal duty, not sitting locked away in some dark private safe at Gatcombe Park. She knew that keeping such a massive symbol of the Vong trio for private family events would only ruin its rich history, whereas presenting the sapphire set to Catherine would forever lock in its historic legacy at the very heart of the nation's cultural identity. On top of that, the stunning physical match between the Princess of Wales and those deep blue sapphires made the whole handoff feel incredibly right and meant to be royal. Style experts and historians immediately noticed that Catherine has the perfect elegant posture, tall frame, and natural grace needed to wear such a heavy piece of history without getting completely lost in all that sparkling luxury. Over the years, Catherine has shown a total masterclass in visual diplomacy, often wearing sharp, tailored dresses in deep shades of royal navy blue for her most important trips abroad, a colour choice that feels almost fated to bring out the bright, flashing sparkle of those King George VI sapphires. The beautiful match between her personal taste and the grand shape of this necklace creates a truly flawless visual harmony, changing the old jewellery from a museum piece into a real breathing symbol of modern queenly dignity. When Zara finally handed over the heirloom, onlookers saw that the mood between the two women was totally free of formal stiffness, showing instead a very real, warm bond and a deep mutual respect. The actual moment of transfer was marked by a quiet, deeply personal whisper that beautifully showed how close they really are, as Zara offered Catherine a sweet, emotional blessing for her future path, as she handed over the velvet box containing those bright, brilliant blue gems. Zara shared some incredibly warm words of deep encouragement, telling the Princess of Wales that this beautiful necklace was a token of absolute love and trust from a generation that has watched her grow into the ultimate, strongest pillar of the family. Zara made it clear she hopes the quiet strength and endless grace of Queen Elizabeth II will be with Catherine every single time she wears those sapphire stones, acting like a protective shield against the endless pressures of her future crown. This touching moment made it very clear that the gift was both a reward for over 10 years of perfect quiet service and a real effort to lift Catherine up as she prepares to eventually take the throne, making sure she knows she has the solid, unquestioned support of the late Queen's closest family. The long-term effects of this sudden heirloom handoff are already changing how the public looks at the British royal family, effectively setting a brand new standard for the future of the Windsor dynasty. By giving the Princess of Wales complete permanent control and total ownership over the future of this historic Russian sapphire necklace, Zara Tindall has made a lasting major power shift that traditional palace rules can never hope to contain or take back. While reporters and royal observers everywhere scramble to dissect this incredibly tense and delicate shift in power, it has suddenly become very clear that the reigning queen consort, despite holding the highest official title now, has to manage a court where the most powerful heirlooms are quietly controlled by her daughter-in-law. This gripping quiet drama has completely hooked the public, who see it as a brilliant silent takeover of power by the late Queen's own direct descendants, turning the next big state dinner into a real psychological battlefield where every look and missing necklace will be analysed by millions. The massive reaction from everyday people has been pure excitement and deep respect for the solid, united front shown by the younger members of the family. People all over the globe have always loved Zara Tindall for being so refreshingly honest, intensely loyal and totally down-to-earth among the royals, and her bold decision to back a very strong Catherine has only made her more popular as the true protector of the royal legacy. This warm show of deep loyalty has brought real comfort and hope to a country that has survived years of bitter fighting within the palace, proving that the heart of the monarchy is still incredibly strong, built on real respect and shared duties. By choosing to champion Catherine's quiet strength over the loud ambitions of the current palace crowd, Zara has basically drawn a very clear, sharp line for the future, making sure the deep values of Queen Elizabeth II will keep guiding the family for decades to come. That Russian sapphire necklace sparkling with its deep midnight blue light is no longer just a pretty piece of history or wartime romance. It has turned into the absolute living sign of a modern queenly succession, kept safe by the exact women who have earned the real love and trust of people all over the world.